This is Human Warnings. This will be a ramble, and if you don't like the deep end, then go back to the shallow end. The Disney Monster. More than usual, this is going to be very disorganized because I have a lot of deep subjects to talk about, and I could go on for 5 hours, and I don't have time to edit. So I don't have the good enough program to edit. So, here we go. First off, Disney wants to have this squeaky clean image, like they're nice people. The corporation has a heart. I love that. But if you look into the past, Disney, I think they had pro-Nazi, Donald Duck and Mickey Mouse cartoons originally. I think Walt Disney was a racist. They go where the money goes. That's what corporations do. And it just so happens that the money goes into having black girls instead of white girls being the stars of their movies, and lesbians and gays. But they do not give a shit about diversity. They give a shit about money. It should go without saying, but it bears repeating anyways, because you keep getting bombarded with Disney trying to say that they're good, that they're human beings. They're not human beings. It's a corporation. It's a love-hate relationship for myself because I love a lot of the Marvel movies. Not so much anymore. I said goodbye after Endgame. And also I've gone to Disney World my whole life, and I think it's the most happiest place in the world. But you know what? It's made off of slaves. So, it's not worth it in the end. And the prices are only going up anyways. Alan Moore, the writer of Watchmen, said something very that I agreed with very much. He said that writers have allowed themselves to be sold. Artists have allowed themselves to be sold down the river. Artists are extremely important and wonderful people, but they end up, and now in my words, they end up writing jingles for McDonald's because it's the only way they can make money. And I call such artists scabs, because scabs are people who don't, when everybody else is on strike, they say, well, we still want to make money, so we're still going to work. How can an independent artist, compete with a McDonald's jingle or with, 20 writers on The Simpsons? Say you're a comedian. How are you supposed to compete with a show that's got 20 writers and, incredible funding? So as much as I like the Marvel movies, some of them, and as much as I like a lot of the actors like Robert Downey Jr., they're scabs because they're making it impossible for, let's say, Shakespearean actors or, whatever, to make it in this world. Now let's talk about Walt Disney the man. As far as I know, Walt Disney was more of a businessman. He hired artists to work for him, like slaves, and took all the credit. Nobody knows who wrote The Little Mermaid. Nobody knows any of the names of any of the people that were artistically involved in The Little Mermaid or Bambi or Snow White. But everybody just knows Walt Disney. This is similar to the way Thomas Edison exploited Nikola Tesla. Thomas Edison was merely a businessman. Also, Stan Lee. Alan Moore again is on the record saying that Stan Lee didn't create most of those characters, but he got the credit and the money for all of them. The list goes on, but a few more. Steve Jobs didn't create the mouse. It wasn't his invention. He didn't really think of anything. He just bought it. He just bought all these ideas from whoever. And nobody knows who invented the mouse, but it wasn't Steve Jobs. Bill Gates didn't create the program Microsoft. He just basically got it from somebody, exploited them. Mark Zuckerberg didn't create Facebook. He just stole it. These are all businessmen. There was one more. Two more. George Lucas, he created the original idea for Star Wars, but he didn't create the idea of Darth Vader. I doubt he created the idea of the Millennium Falcon, the construction of it, how it looks, or the X-Wings, or any of that. I mean, there was a lot of people involved, a lot of artists involved, but nobody knows any of their names. We only know that George Lucas created all of Star Wars. He didn't even direct the second or third movies, Empire Strikes Back or Return of the Jedi. I don't think it was his idea that Luke was the son of Darth Vader. And then Gene Roddenberry, he thought he was making a Western. He wasn't. And he took half of the royalty for the music, for the theme song for Star Trek, just by writing lyrics that were never even on the show because he needed money. This is why I titled this thing The Disney Monster. It's the idea that Disney is the death of art. And as far as I'm concerned, art is the most important thing in life. Nobody would want to live without art. Art is in everything. Who would want to live in a world without colors or without flowers or without music, right? What would be the point? But because of things like Disney, we're quickly getting there. Pretty soon every movie is going to be generic and politically correct or telling you what to think. No balls, no original ideas, because original ideas can't come from prescribed agendas. You know, the best art is always going to follow its own narrative, not the narrative that they say. Like, you know, how the hell are you supposed to write a book now when you know that the main character has to at least be a minority, or there has to be a certain amount of different racial people in your movie, and certain people have to be gay, otherwise you hate gays, right? I mean, you can't just plug in that shit and still be creative. Just think of the rape scene in A Clockwork Orange. That movie could never be made in this day and age. Stanley Kubrick wouldn't stand a chance in this day and age. Now I'm getting to my main point. My favorite movie is Mary Poppins. And they made a movie recently called Saving Mr. Banks. Because they're remaking their... God. And they portray Walt Disney as this nice guy who helped the author of Mary Poppins understand why his movie Mary Poppins was really good. The truth is that she hated the movie even after it came out. But they're rewriting history so that the person who wrote Mary Poppins is very pro-Disney now, according to their history. Not just that, she didn't let them make a sequel to Mary Poppins. They wanted to. But now that she's dead, they can. And now they own Mary Poppins. And this is what terrifies me, actually, is that corporations can now own... I'm not sure about this, but I think they can own artists' work and distort them to their inclinations, to their whim or fancy. And I'm pretty sure they own the name Peter Pan. By the way, the name Wendy was invented in the book Peter Pan. Because when Robin Williams made that movie Hook, they had to call it Hook, I think, because Disney owned the rights to the title Peter Pan. And I mean, if they can just keep distorting a story to the point where it's like Broken Telephone and the story no longer even resembles anything like the original, where the main characters have swapped genders and now they're gay and they've inserted other plot lines and things, it seems like it's like fraud. It's like forgery. It's like plagiarism. It's like, can we now insert into A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens, can we write that Ebenezer Scrooge ate Doritos and drank Pepsi, and Ebenezer Scrooge was going to the nearby McDonald's because we want to have ads now in A Christmas Carol? So the thought that terrified me was, oh, by the way, Rob Zombie, he used a Bach piece in one of his horror movies, and like a pro-Satan kind of horror movie, which was a good movie, by the way. But Bach wrote his music for God and for the church. And I think it's really rude and disrespectful of Rob Zombie to use a church song that Bach wrote, who was fiercely religious, in this satanic mockery of Christianity. And so what scared me and what prompted this YouTube video is that, you know, I'm a wannabe writer, and I've written a few books. What if I wrote a book that really, like, penetrated the mainstream? Well, could I actually put it in my will that I don't want it ever to be made by I don't want it to be sold to Disney. Disney's not allowed to make a movie out of it. Can I put that stipulation there? Or is there a law where, like, 75 years after I'm dead, it's up for grabs? And, I think this is what drives Alan Moore crazy. He said, like, my books are like my babies. I'm paraphrasing. And he's like, and I can't watch the movie just to see, like, what I did and what I worked so hard on, to see how it's been twisted into something that I never wanted it to be. So, as a writer, what do I do then? I mean, you wonder why Kafka said he wanted all of his writing burnt after he died. The only reason we know about Kafka is because his sister didn't respect his wishes. She didn't burn all of his writing. So, like, my worry is, like, can you even be an artist anymore without it being then stolen and twisted and perverted? And before you know it, the story that you wrote about free will and love and compassion gets turned into a story about greed and bought by a company like Disney or McDonald's to sell Happy Meals or to open a theme park. Maybe it's good that I called my first book Men Are All Murderers and Women Are All Whores, because maybe unknowingly I made it Disney-proof. Maybe you actually have to write books that openly, like, the main subject is that McDonald's is shit, so that after you're dead, McDonald's won't buy it and twist it into something else. Or you have to make a movie that is specifically about a white male, specifically that he's white. And you have to, like, mention it 1,000,000 times and have it be the main plot in order for it not to be twisted. I guess the only good news for myself is that I tend to write stuff that Disney wouldn't want to make anyways and that wouldn't be popular, so I don't really have to worry. For example, my new book is about God, where God is a fat, lazy bum who's just like a complete asshole. And so that won't be touched by anybody because it touches on religion. So I guess we're safe as long as we're being true to ourselves, because I guess a Disney movie is intrinsically a shitty story. I mean, as much as I like Avengers and Infinity War and Endgame, there aren't really deep, profound ideas going on there. It's just like, get together as a team and good will win over evil. So, but good luck to Lord of the Rings, because that's going to get all screwed up. Frodo's going to be black or Chinese in the TV show, right? And gay. So that's all. Disney is a monster, an evil monster, and anybody who writes all these, 1,000,000 reviews about how angry they are about Ariel not being redhead or Captain Marvel being anti-male, it's like, well, you're what's the word? What's the analogy? I guess you're feeding the mouth that bites you. I mean, they're telling you they hate you, like, right off the bat, and they have no respect for you, and they want to kick the shit out of you and, rape your mother. And then you're complaining about little details about the way they did it. As much as I enjoy trashing The Last Jedi, and as much as I'm going to enjoy trashing The Rise of Skywalker, I wasn't really angry in a sense that I'd already sort of given up on them. I mean, all the ingredients were bad. It was Disney. It was really bad. And I mean, after The Force Awakens, there was no hope. That title should have been called Star Wars Episode 7, No More Hope. Because it was all gone. They threw everything away when they made that movie. I'll end with an irony. When they remade the Scrooge movie for the 1,000,000th time with Michael Caine, and it was done by the Muppets, first of all, it's funny because they bought the Muppets, so they own that too. Secondly, I don't think that, what's his name? I don't think Charles Dickens envisioned Muppets being the characters in A Christmas Carol when he wrote it. Third, who knows if Jim Henson would have wanted his Muppets to be in A Christmas Carol. But fourth, and my main point, it's funny because when you watch that movie, it's like Walt Disney Pictures presents a movie co-produced by this person, directed by this person, edited by this person. And then finally it's like A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens. So Charles Dickens gets like fifth billing. Talk about stealing. They should just say Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol and leave everybody else to the end. Because guess who actually wrote the fucking thing? All these assholes are making money, capitalizing on some guy that wrote something 200 years ago and probably made like $200 writing it. I think there are laws that prevent corporations from living forever and from having complete monopolies, and rightfully so. A corporation should not have the rights of a human being because it's not a human being. And I haven't philosophized enough about this to have an answer, but I think there should be certain principles about using somebody else's, even a dead artist's material. There should be limits to how much you can twist it around and allow it to praise McDonald's. Art is more about individual thought than groupthink, and corporations are very much about groupthink. Anyway, I'll end it because I could go on forever. Let me know if you have any thoughts. I'm very interested in thoughts that might console me over this silly issue. Oh, I forgot to add that it would be ironic if, for all the stealing Disney does, if I got flagged for using their logo in my video. If you like gays, click like. If you like blacks, comment. If you like women, click notification bell. If you like gay women, subscribe. And if you like gay black women, Patreon, Human Warnings, give me money.